The one that I've already alluded to a little bit earlier in the study. In Matthew 16, verses 21 through 23, it says, "From then on, Jesus began to point out to his disciples it was necessary for him to go to Jerusalem and suffer many things from the elders, the chief priests, and the scribes, be killed, and be raised on the third day. Peter took him aside and began to rebuke him. 'Oh no, Lord, this will never happen to you.' And Jesus turned and told Peter, 'Get behind me, Satan. You are a hindrance to me because you're not thinking about God's concerns, but human concerns.'" So how is that similar to what Jesus is saying here on the day of Palm Sunday? Both of them are a failure to recognize who God really is. Again, God is the one who tells us who He is. We don't get to decide if God can die and rise from the dead. That's not going to happen to you. I mean, you're a pretty good teacher, Jesus, but you don't understand this stuff about succession to kingship, apparently, because that's not going to happen. In fact, later on, He's going to pull out a sword, and He's really going to do a lot by cutting off the ear of a servant, right? But the immediate question for us, again, is, man, we can say, tut. It's a shame they couldn't recognize Him then. Well, let me ask you, how might we better recognize what God's doing in our midst today? How might we better recognize what God is doing in our midst today? Anybody? Tom?
That's a tough question.
It is a tough question. It's not in the Sunday school portal, and that answer to that was not in there. That's right.
When I look back in time, I can see Him clearly, but it's hard to see Him in the present.
It is sometimes, isn't it? So we need to. I think that speaks for humility, doesn't it? It speaks of a need to stay in His Word, abide in my Word. If you abide in my words abide in you. You can, then you're truly my disciples, and you'll know the truth, and the truth will set you free. So, recognizing Him is... Are many of y'all familiar with the Experiencing God Bible study of, Henry Blackaby years ago, which is still a very, very good study. If you look at the key concept of all of Experiencing God, I think you could probably safely put it down to saying, find out what God's doing and join Him. Find out where God's working and join Him. Yes?
I think more about God's patience in putting up with the country that's ruled Him out of the schools, ruled Him out of this. And more and more we see it in our country. And yet God's patience.
He is patient. Absolutely is. I see another hand, yes.
The more we get to know God and who He is and what He's like, the more we recognize His hand at work. That's very true on a human level. We can say, well, so-and-so would not have written that. Right. Those are not his words.
No, that's exactly right.
And so, as we the full panoply of His glory, as you've already mentioned, includes the loving as well as the justice side.
Mm-hmm.
And the Holy Spirit would give us discernment as we consider and ponder situations.
That's right. And again, that's where we have to make sure we're looking for God's will and not what we want to bring into the situation. But exactly right. That's what I'm talking about, abiding in the Word, because we need to know God intimately. Like, there's some things, if you tell me, your wife said this, I'd say, my wife never said that. What, you have friends, that sure doesn't sound like them. And the only way we know, what did Jesus say? My sheep hear my voice. They recognize it. And the only way we can recognize it is if we are used to hearing it. And so it's very, very important. So continue to think on that. How might we better recognize what God is doing in our midst? Here's our prayer for today. Lord, let my prayers become more of avenues for seeking your plans for my life and my world rather than asking your blessing on my plans. let my heart be open to recognizing your timing so that I might be able to join you in those things you are doing. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you. You're dismissed.